we're going to go to Tyler in Indiana. I think we could kind of discuss me and Forrest's views pretty quickly here.
Sure.
So you want to know, is it likely that Jesus existed?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, I've heard a lot of Christians claim that, well, everybody knows that there was a historical Jesus. Even atheists know that. And I've looked online, and I haven't been able to find anything like that. Like, I'm wondering if there's any anthropological or historical account that there was a Jesus, and where I could find that kind of information, because that would be interesting.
There's no contemporary first century evidence. So when people say that, like, and I'm not a mythicist, so like I fine with saying Jesus existed.
Right.
I don't like worry about that point. I don't think the evidence is like great because we don't have any first century. I think our first mention might be Pliny the Younger, who's like writing to an emperor about how to like deal with Christians, right? But none of what people often cite, like Tacitus or Josephus or any of these, like,
that's what I was gonna bring up.
They're not contemporary accounts. And
also, in the term of Josephus, I'm pretty sure that one was found to be like a plagiarism later on. Like somebody credited it to him, even though it wasn't really him.
Yeah, and
forgery, not plagiarism. Thank you.
So I would say, like, from my perspective, like I think it's kind of a waste of time to worry about that, because you have like you have a claim about a guy who has a lot of other things baked in there that you can easily attack, right? I will say this real quick, is that when we talk about a historical Jesus, the way that I parse this out is, like, I'm a mythicist in one sense, I guess, where what's detailed in the Bible, or how people interpret that, the changing manuscripts over time, I don't take that to be anywhere close to the historical Jesus, because just think of like the Sermon on the Mount. Do you think that those are all, you know, Jesus's words 40, 50 years after the fact, when like none of us could tell? We couldn't write down, if we saw a speech last night, we couldn't sit there and write like one sentence, right, and remember it. So that historical Jesus doesn't exist. And I'm very confident about that. But some guy Jesus and who the Gospels refer to and how many times you can interpret that, sure, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I've heard people that I respect say that Jesus did probably exist. I've also heard people say that he probably didn't. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter at all, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. He's just some dude. Every single level of the Jesus claim would have to be verified. Saying that he exists doesn't prove that he was a god, or that a son of God, or that he did a miracle, or that he said anything particularly interesting. Like, I could prove to you for sure that Abraham Lincoln existed, but if I said that he could fucking fly, you'd probably think that I was crazy. So, but he definitely existed, right? So it's just, that's whether or not he existed is really immaterial to everything else to do with Christianity.
And Tyler, real quick,
yeah, I can agree. Yes.
I wanted to say that from my perspective, right, the way that I've looked, and I'm not a New Testament scholar or anything, so this is, you know, according to me, based off of things I've looked at. My understanding of Christianity, or what Jesus was preaching, like as an apocalyptic preacher, was that, you know, he thought that the kingdom of heaven was going to come down on earth during the disciples' lifetime, and not like a linear type of like heaven, earth, hell type situation, but that it was going to be established on earth, right? Like the new age, the new kingdom established on earth. And when I talk to Christians about Jesus, they're talking about a completely historical or different Jesus than the one that I also don't, because the earliest manuscripts are just, from my opinion, completely bastardized to what actual Christians are taking Jesus to be and what he preached. So there's like a really weird divide on talking about a historical Jesus, because we're all talking past each other. We're talking about somebody that preached different things, that has different miracle claims, right? Different desires and motives. Like it's a completely different person when you parse it out. So that's where I'm like a mythicist in most senses of it, but it does seem like, you know, I'm fine with granting an amalgamation or some type of notion there that could have, you know, been the central figure. But sorry, go on, Tyler. I want to give you a chance to speak.
Oh, you're fine. So I assume that it's kind of the same thing with like the Buddha then as well. Do we know if he existed, or again, it doesn't matter really that much, but the Buddha, if the Buddha existed, was
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I have zero interest. I don't know.
I have one more quick question, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, by all means.
My question would... Okay, awesome. So let's say that we die and there is some kind of afterlife. How would we even know if that's real or not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because time would be so warped. Like, we could just be having a DMT trip. Like, how would we even be able to confirm whether or not the afterlife that we're perceiving we're having is real? You know what I mean? So, kind of want to hear.
I suppose it would be no different than, can you perceive whether the life you're having right now is real? You know, you could very easily be plugged into the Matrix. You could be playing a VR game that you forgot you were playing. You could be a brain in a jar being fed, like all that. And this, a lot of times people bring up like simulation theory and all this stuff, and they're like, oh, well, this person said it's possible, so therefore. The fact is, these are these are unfalsifiable claims. I can't prove whether or not I'm in a simulation or a dream or a DMT trip or whatever. I could have died last week and I'm still freaking out. Like, who knows, right? But the fact is, this is the reality that I can deal with. And even if I can find proof positive that those things aren't true, you can then just say, that's part of the thing that you're in, that have this example. Or if I were to wake up like Neo and then be in the new world, you can then say, this is level 2 of the game now. And that's all it is. And like, so there's absolutely no way that I can affirm or deny or destroy any of that. So I'm just going to deal with the life that I know that I have. And if I find out there's an afterlife later and there's a God later on, the first question I would ask him is, who the fuck do you think you are? And that would be that whole conversation.
We'll have to coin Forrest ideas like the solipsistic onion. It just has layers of like
exactly.
And, then you go to another layer of brain in a vat, another Cartesian skeptical scenario there. It's just it just has layers. But
it turns out they're all true, and it's just stacked on top of each other. You're a brain in a vat, but only in the simulation that you're playing.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's actually an interesting point there. I mean, I know this isn't directly your question, but it's something I wanted to express at least how I deal with these types of things, is that I look at it a comparison of theories. So when we compare that type of theory of like, am I living the life I am, or is this the real afterlife, or whatever it would be in that situation, when you compare the theories, like this is the external world that I have, plus this is the external world and I'm a brain in a vat that's producing it. Like, you've added this extra entity, for which you have really sure, it fits the data equally in some way, but like there's nothing there like to add the extra entity. So you might as well shave it off, right? It's like with my anything we talk about evolution and is, God designed it or code. It's like, look, if you can explain all the phenomena without having to add these entities, just shave it off. It's not doing anything for your theory, didn't produce novel predictions, did nothing. So there's no reason to have it. And in this case, I think it's the same. But to directly answer you, I think it's the same thing as Forrest. I don't think a demon could have created me 5 minutes ago with my perception I had a 13th birthday. I can't rule that out. That's why I'm a skeptic. That's why I don't accept claims like that, because they seem to be pretty identically unfalsifiable,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mirror your opinions, definitely. So I just wanted to, continue to further my understanding of those topics.
Yeah.
Learn more stuff. So I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Oh, we appreciate you calling in and waiting. So you were on hold for a long time. We appreciate you being so patient.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Take care, man.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone.
All the 12 other callers that we weren't able to get to. We're sorry.